Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the basics of uh, finance, personal finance. And personal finance is one of those subjects that we all like to talk about, and I all really like to get a deeper knowledge of. And it's one of those things where when we're thinking about personal finances and really trying to think about how we're going to get our personal finances in order, we start to think about a house. And what I mean by that is we're starting to think about kind of how to build the foundation and then move on to bigger things. And that's one of the things that this course will definitely teach you is how to build that foundation, which in my mind is the budget. Getting yourself on budget and really starting to understand kind of what you have coming in, what you have going out is very, very important. And it's one of those things that not a lot of people do. And it's one of the biggest opportunities for people to grow in. So, as like when you're building a house, you want to build a firm foundation because you don't have a firm foundation to your financial plan, then it's one of those things that can definitely fall apart. So, do you have a financial plan? Is it one of those things where you have a budget? And is it one of those things that you're going to move forward on and really try to make sure that you understand kind of how you want to move in the process that makes sense? Um, Today, we're going to go in there and we'll start talking about a budget. So, one of the things you definitely want to do, and I've made a couple of categories here that are just kind of simple and everyday categories where people can see things. We have our bills, we have our expenses, and we have savings on that as well. So it's one of those things where we also want to talk about income. Income is probably one of the most important things that you have in a budget because without income, you're not going to have a lot of other things. So one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw my income out there. So um, my base salary at the general. So I'll just throw a number out there, and it's not necessarily correct because it's not. But say you're making, 80 grand or whatever. And then my salary from teaching at ENC, which is non-existent right now because I haven't actually taught a class for them yet. But we'll say like 2,000 a year. No, we'll say 10,000 a year. So we have about $90,000 worth of income. So that's great. We want to know how things go from there, though. So I have a house, and those house payments cost money. So you have to go in here, you have to go in there and put in your budget for your how much your house is going to cost. So mortgages usually last about $1,000 a month or so. So we'll go in 12,000 for that. And let's say we have a car that we want to own. So we have a car payment. We have $500 a month. So maybe about was that 6,000 a year for car payments. So let's just say there's electricity. Is another expense. So maybe about $100 a month. So you're talking about $1,200 a year. So those are just some sample expenses. So I go in here and I'm going to sum those up and get those for the expenses. I did that wrong. Let's see. There we go. Got that. And then some expenses. So for example, you like to eat out at restaurants. So maybe you want to go out and actually do things like that. You want to see kind of how much that costs. So maybe $100 a week. So $5,200 a year because there's 52 a year or 52 weeks in a year. And then you want to add those two together. So 1960 plus 200 or sum those. So sum A8 plus A11 equal sum of that. Sum A8. Oh, because there's no category A8. So let's go B8 and B11. So those are your total expenses. If you sum D2 and C8, you get the total amount that you have left over. So from there, you can definitely invest things. You can definitely look at things otherwise. But this kind of gives you an overview of kind of how you